It's funny. The overnight success has been almost 9 years now.
Just jumping into Christian music does not mean, wow, we're going to be successful.
No,
I think my biggest fear was that I would actually do the music that I grew up listening to, and I would flop at that too. And then it was like, it's truly over.
The biggest fear, aka the beginning of 2020.
Between the Grooves is hosted by James Curtis, music director and morning man in the Greater Toronto Area on Joy Radio, and Drew Brown, Juno-nominated singer-songwriter and worship leader. Both hope to share insights into Christian music, exploring ministry, message, and everything in between. You can connect with the show at faithstrongtoday.com/betweenthegrooves or via Twitter @betweengrooves. Now, here's James and Drew.
Hey, bro.
Hey, just looking at Drew right now. Just looking at Drew right now. Big smile on his face.
Look at my pretty face.
That's right. That's right. How are you doing?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock with you today. Let's do this thing.
Yes, let's do this. It's your weekly look at music, ministry, and everything in between with today's top Christian artists on Between the Grooves. Between the Grooves. So deep. So deep. Think about it.
It is. It's so deep.
Oh boy,
my gosh.
What a bundle of joy.
What's happening today? What's going on today? What's happening? What's going on?
Today's episode features a great conversation with Cain, the family worship band. These guys are really, really fun to chat with. They started in the country genre, actually doing covers, way back when. Nothing really happened. Nothing, their career didn't take off or anything like that. They're kind of thinking, what the heck is going on? And I guess through some deep soul searching and in chatting with people around them, like their manager and whatnot, they got into the CCM world, and they got into it at the worst time. Right before the pandemic hits, they decide, let's switch gears here and get into the CCM world. And they have all these plans and all the things that they're going to do to get their music out there. And then the pandemic hits. But, despite that shift, they have blown up. They really have.
Yeah.
And this is a great conversation you cannot miss. And that is coming up in just a bit on Between the Grooves. But before we get to that, let's chat about the Beebs.
Oh, the Beebs.
Our favorite,
baby.
Our favorite Canadian artist, who, once again, we invite to participate and be a guest on Between the Grooves. Whenever you're ready. Justin, just give us a shout.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, Justin. We know you're listening. He released his new album, Freedom, not to be mistaken with the other album he put out just a few weeks ago.
Hang on. What was that sound? It sounded like you were just pouring something there. Was that the coffee you were just freshening up there?
I was pouring some coffee.
Okay.
Some beautiful coffee. I'll take a sip. Hold on. Wait. ASMR time. Hold on. Wait.
Ooh. A nice distraction. Sorry to interrupt. You were saying.
Okay. All right. So Mr. Bieber released a worship album called Freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Just came out a little while ago, and it's quite good. It's some collaborations with some of the Bethel peeps and some of the Maverick music guys, and it is great. But what I found really fascinating with this album is that it sounds like the Bieber doing worship. And that might seem like a pretty, obvious thing to say. But when you look at a lot of the CCM stuff that's coming out when it comes to worship music, it kind of all sits in a certain cubby hole, in a little pocket somewhere.
Yeah.
There's the Chris Tomlin sound, there's the Hillsong sound, there's the acoustic sort of, old school sound, there's gospel. It usually always fits in a certain box. Not this. This sounds like the Biebs doing worship, and it's great.
I've heard a lot of good things about it, and the thing I'll say too is I've noticed there has been a lot of crossover, and I don't know if it's a permanent thing or it's just people testing the waters, as it were. But even some gospel crossover where you've always had your Kirk Franklins and whatnot, but recently, whether it has been collaborations or even solo stuff that has been sent to the CCM world, CeCe Winans, Corin Hawthorne, and people like that. I'm thinking, wow, this is incredible. Where they're perhaps exploring it a little bit. Or
Yes,
they're just
yeah, exactly.
recognizing that, hey, this is just another an avenue to, or maybe it's just that people are being more open minded to the style of music, and it's maybe not necessarily a crossover, maybe just a recalibration of the CCM world, if you know what I mean.
Completely, totally, and I like that. And that's a good way of putting it. The recalibration of like the Christian world, the music world. I like that. That's a nice way of putting it.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I welcome that.
Yeah.
Bring it on for sure.
Because as you said, if there's a certain sound that you would expect in the CCM world, anyways, it's nice that sound continues to change.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of always sounding the
that.
same. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting, for Justin Bieber specifically, to see if he decides that this is going to be a permanent change for him.
Totally. That
would be interesting.
That would be, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no pressure, Biebs, but again, you're welcome to come on the show and we can talk about that more and let us know what your plans are for the future. And just come on down. We're just a short drive anyways. We're in the same province of Canada. So
that's right.
It's not a lot to ask.
Just come on over. My kids would love it. Just come. I'd be the coolest dad ever.
Well, there you have it. It is time to get to today's episode.
Oh, and today we have the incredible trio Cain. Now, their music is fantastic, but their story is even better. It was so great to connect with them, hear what they're all about and what they've gone through. This conversation was pure gold. So let's get into it. Let's get between the grooves with the band Cain.
Have something specifically towards Logie Boy, then just let me know and I'll pass an ear.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
Sounds good. So let's start with, if we can find out from you guys, it's a two-part question, okay? The first question is, what was the beginning of Cain? And the second question is, what was the beginning of Cain?
Oh, okay. Okay, so it started in the garden and God asked for an offering. And he said,
Nice. Well played. No,
I've actually been really, I guess this could be a little egotistical of me, but I didn't even think about Cain in the Bible at all whenever we were picking our name, because I've only been Cain, that's our last name. We're family. And we actually, in our small hometown, our grandfather, J.P. Cain, the high school stadium is named after him. So my whole life's been a bunch of Cain. And then as soon as we do Christian music, people are like, we can't trust them. They have chosen to side with murder. And I'm like, I can't tell you enough how much I didn't do that. Cain the Little Kid Band. We started, Taylor, you led your first worship service as a worship leader when you were 12.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have improved since then. I only knew like 2 chords.
I started playing bass so I wouldn't be left out. And
Logan was on the drums. So, really thanks to our dad who let us come up on stage and trusted his kids to play. But I feel like being put on the spot is what we're best at.
Yes.
Because dad would call us up with no warning. And we didn't even know the song sometimes.
Oh,
man.
Nice.
Just go for it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's trial by fire. So it was like Cain the Little Kids, Cain the Kid Band. And then we were Dad's backing worship band as he was a traveling minister throughout high school. So he would check us out of school and we would go, be his backing band. And then once we got to college, we're like, man, maybe we could get a gig, maybe we're pretty good at this.
Maybe we're an excellent cover band.
And so we started pursuing we were doing singing Dance with Somebody and Creedence Clearwater and just the stuff that the people at the Mama Goldbergs wanted to hear,
Yeah.
So that I think truly it wasn't until college that we were like, maybe we could be a band,
I got to say, one of my favorite things in music is bands with siblings. And the reason why is because you kind of can mind read and you sound awesome. Like the voices blend together so well, and you've grown up together, so you kind of know what the other person is thinking. I mean, you don't even need hand signals. You could just like, I know exactly where Taylor's going with this, or I had that way back when I used to be a worship leader in my church, and I had a lady who played the keyboard. She played piano, actually. She was better on piano than just regular synth and keys and stuff. And she like, this was a unique situation where she knew exactly where I was going with the song. She knew. She read my mind. And you rarely see something like that, but you always see it in a band or a group that's made up of siblings.
Yeah, I mean,
that's so nice.
What a gift.
Yeah.
Like we can take zero credit from that,
Yeah.
I think it's
zero. I like the way you approach that. Yeah. Well, we're not going to take credit for that, but
but I mean, I'll take it. I mean, someone's got to take the credit. No, I'm just kidding. So
I think it's I don't know. It's interesting because the crowd can also read if we have just been fighting and we walked on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
Never thought about that.
Yes.
But that's never happened. That's never happened, right? Never.
Never. Last weekend, we fought at the end of a prayer because.
How do you do that?
I mean, how do you fight while you're praying, Maybe it's that Cain. It's that Cain in there.
Oh, that Cain.
Yeah.
The real Cain tries to sneak through.
If we change our name next year, then you'll know that we're in big trouble. But Taylor, there was a countdown for when we needed to start the worship service. And Taylor was praying and had her eyes closed and didn't see the countdown. So Logan cut her off by saying amen. And
that's all it took.
That's all it took.
I thought he was sick of my prayer, but we were supposed to be on stage. So sorry.
Does Logan tend? I mean, he's not on the mic right now, so we can talk about him a little bit. Does he tend to be the black child, like the black kid? No, I'm not talking racism. I'm talking the black sheep. The black sheep.
The black sheep. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Is he the one that causes the strife between all of you guys?
Causes the strife.
Here he is.
It's a good question. Objectively, probably.
Objectively.
Because in humility, no one thinks they're the problem. I don't know. I mean, it's like, do I let us be late? And she paused. In my defense, you paused. I thought the prayer was over. We have to go. So I wasn't picking a fight per se. But.
I think that I could take a lot of credit for starting some issues, but Logan really protects the girls. I mean, you can't say anything bad about him. Logan's just playing like the dad role in this band, and he's just making sure we're on time. I was just doing my makeup before this, and he's helping us stay on target. So, I mean, you got to have the little baby.
Yeah, and you got to have the guy that keeps everybody on track, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of Logan, are you also, Logan, in charge of wardrobe?
I wish I was. I am... I'm the one in the middle, I suppose. So for a lot of years, and I guess still to this day, stylistically, we are quite different. And so the reason that we all wear one single monochromatic color is because our individual outfits were so different. And there were some stages where I was performing in bow ties or had pleated pants on. They were really trying to bring me into the style that they wear. So I guess the person in charge is the weak link, whoever has the least clever outfit.
Oh, I see. Just being brutally honest. Yeah, I understand.
Well played.
Which color are we wearing? It's like, well, my orange outfit stinks. It's like, cool, so we're not wearing orange. You know what I mean? It's like we sort of defer to who has the worst clothes.
I don't know what to say about that. Well, I have to do some repairs because a couple Sundays back we were wearing our orange, and I'm really proud of my orange. But a little girl asked for an autograph, and when I bent down to give it to her, I just absolutely ripped the full bottom of my pants.
Nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
Good times.
So
good times.
We're supposed to be wearing orange out for this weekend, and so I gotta get some stuff.
Oh my God.
Tara just made eyes at me like.
Yeah.
Why
me being kind of the
week?
outfit coordinator, I'm stressed now knowing that we've blown a pair of orange pants out. So we'll figure that out later.
You can always change the color. Hello,
duh. Yeah,
dye.
Well, yeah, dye it. No.
Dye.
gosh.
Oh, that is one cool thing. Y'all are ready to move on from clothes, but I didn't have my headphone in, and so I have so many things to say.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Okay,
here we go.
So
Here we go.
we have the Yes He Can music video coming, or we just shot it. It's about to come out. And we decided to pick the color before we even shot. We're like, we want to do orange. Orange is not very easy to find. And so our sweet mom, Taylor ordered a cream jumpsuit, and Mom dyed it.
She dyed it orange for me.
Isn't that cool?
That's nice.
That's
Wow.
neat.
That is nice.
And did the orange work out good for the video?
Oh my gosh.
It really
I loved
did.
it.
And we have orange scooters. It was like a whole thing. It was really fun.
I mean, talk about having a great parent. I mean, Mom, she hot glued 1,200 little roses on this backdrop for our music video.
Wow.
So everything is so pretty DIY
yeah. Oh, yeah.
these days.
Well, I guess you got it these days because,
You do.
it's going to cost a lot to get somebody to create something for you. If you can create it yourself, that's amazing.
It's so
They know
true.
it. They
You
know the
guys,
spirit.
we're almost like so blown away with how sweet that was that we're all just like smiling. Wow, DIY, thanks.
I'm grinning. Okay, I'm giving it back to Logan. All I've contributed to this conversation is like a weird story.
Blown out
How about the
pants.
orange? Yeah.
Passive.
So,
Right.
Okay.
here we go.
It's good.
Back to you.
And Logan's back.
There we go.
We're playing bad comment roulette, so you lose your headphone if you make an inappropriate comment.
Right.
That's a great game. I'm totally into that game. It's good.
You don't want to know what they said about you, Logan. You don't want to know.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm just getting half of it, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I hate it all. So I'm curious about like your journey towards getting like a label and doing all the like touring and how did that growth happen for you guys? And how long was it between like doing like, cover gigs to becoming, an artist where you're doing your own thing? Like how long was that journey and what did it look like for you?
Well, I guess what you're saying, Drew, is a lot of people think that Cain is a brand new band.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
that's far from the case. And that's usually not the case for any band out there once you start,
that's right.
getting radio airplay and national, if not international exposure. It's probably taken a lot longer to get there than people would imagine.
It's funny, the feedback from people on the label side. We seem so eager to work for ourselves and to do things. And they're like, oh, you guys are so green. Like, you're so shiny and new. This will wear off. And I'm like, actually, the overnight success has been almost 9 years now. So
Right.
our first gig, as which we were belovedly called the Cain Train by our friends, because we had no songs, we had no band. This wasn't a career to us. And so our first opening gig was in 2012. We opened for now wonderfully known Andrew Ripp, who we were big fans of even
Yes.
then.
Yep.
And he was opening for Dave Barnes, which we were big fans of as well. And so we get to do 3 songs at the very beginning, and they call us and they say, okay, guys, so we'd like you to do 3 songs and, you can do 1 cover. And we were just like, oh boy, we have
2 originals.
we have
What's
no
that?
original songs. So we had to write a song the week of,
Oh, no.
and it was 5.5 minutes long. And it was just, everything short of, what's that one Tenacious D song? Anyway, so, it was the, you know what I'm talking about? The
That's
story
right,
where
that's
he
right.
dances with the devil. That's us.
That's right. Yeah.
So-
That one. Yeah.
I love that song. But so from 2012 on, for anybody listening that has no idea, I'll give you the shortest but full of detail. Our grandfather worked in publishing, started in Muscle Shoals in the 60s when it was Muscle Shoals.
Oh, wow.
Came to Nashville in 2001, worked in music publishing. And so our hearts were in Christian music from the beginning, but our help was offered on the countryside. And so we felt like, okay, Lord, we're not going to deny a door that you've opened for us. We will walk in this and we will learn. So all the lumps and lessons that we had to take and learn along the way happened in the country music industry, which I attribute so much of. I'm so thankful because the hurt and the business that we experienced and learned from, it wasn't necessarily from churches or other believers. We had the benefit of, the world treating us like the world, and we could have grace and understanding. And so we learned. And
I'll tell you guys that, you start doing music and it's so easy for any of us, anybody listening, you're doing what you think God's called you to do, but somehow it pulls you away from church, community, reading your Bible, like just foundational truths that we grew up in. So we're a couple of years into doing country music and we're just empty. Gosh, we're just like, did we miss it? Like, we're so burnt out. How do we even carry on? And so the best thing for our career was just going back to church. And we didn't even say, hey guys, we do worship. We just went, and Logan did coffee. I was a greeter, and we just kind of got back to, we're going to plug in and do the things that we know to do. And sure enough, I'm telling you, it was like a 6-week jump.
So 2015 was what seemed to be our most successful year as a band. We were very busy. We got to go to London a couple of times. Things were happening, but like you said earlier, it wasn't turning into artistry. It wasn't turning into any sort of growth. It was just kind of becoming a great cover band.
Right.
And so famously for us, at least, we drive from Nashville to Delaware, and when we get there, they basically didn't know we were coming. It was an awful experience, and we drove home, had a meeting with our booking agent, and said, okay, guys, if this is what music is, I think we're going to hang it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting ready to go back to school. All of us, our personal relationships were developing, and I just thought, like, okay, if that's what music was going to be in my life, well, thank you, Lord, that I got to do it at all.
Yeah.
But now it's time to go on.
Yeah.
And that was a bitter pill, to feel like this is what I was made and created to do. But all the while we were pursuing country music, guys, I think it's so funny that the feedback always was, this sounds like Christian music.
Yeah, always.
And it was like the detriment to us. They would be like, okay, well, let's put a mandolin on it. This feels like contemporary Christian music. Let's country it up. And so we hang it up. We go back to church. We get, in over our heads in church things. And there we meet our manager. And our manager said, I can't reconcile these things. I'm managing you pursuing country music, and I watch your hearts be so full leading worship. Have you guys considered just starting over? And at that point, we're 7 years in and feeling like, absolutely not. I have not considered starting over. But we took a 30-day fast. We stopped taking calls. We stopped working on music. Mm-hmm. We went our separate ways. And when we came back to the middle, it was like, it could not have been more clear. This is the way. You know what I mean?
And you know what's scary too is that, like, just jumping into Christian music does not mean, wow, we're going to be successful.
No,
I think my biggest fear was that I would actually do the music that I grew up listening to, and I would flop at that too. And then it was like, it's truly over.
The biggest fear, aka the beginning of 2020.
The beginning.
I'm back, y'all. Madison here with big comments, ready to talk about my next embarrassing story.
Logan didn't even know that was pulled out of his ear. She just snuck in here. But I really appreciate this question. Seriously, thank you guys for asking, because I think there's a lot of the background that people don't know. And so I really, I hope it's encouraging to them and to you guys too, that like none of us are an overnight success, and it truly all comes from God.
And I give me my headphone back.
When do I get to do it?
You can do
in a
it
second. I also want to add, I feel like it's so important for us when we tell this part of the story, when it was brought to us that we had an opportunity to meet with Provident Label Group, which is under Sony, which is where we're signed. This did not represent a crossover opportunity for us. This represented the literal promised land. This was the dream from the beginning, and we have no intention of going anywhere but here. So I think to all our folks out there that grew up on Christian music like we did and love it so much, we are so thankful to have found a home here, and all the lessons, like I said, that we learned. God wastes not a single thing, and He has covered us and protected us all the way, but we are home, and it feels so good to be talking to you about the changes and about what the local church has done for us. You know what I mean? Like, it just, I dream about getting to talk about God and what He's doing rather than us at all.
Just comparing our very worst country show to our our best country show to our worst Christian show, and it really is like, what were we doing? It was so bad.
It's nice when you discover what your true calling is. Was it a big? I mean, obviously you went through the ranks, as it were, in country music. What was it like to basically start all over again?
It was. I could tell Madison here. I snuck another headphone. Taylor's out now.
Nice.
I could tell that we were gonna love it. It honestly. I was in the grocery store and I was talking to Mom about the possibility of me doing Christian music and like just throwing away whatever recordings we'd just done. And Mom was like, okay, pull up these lyrics. It's called New Wine, and it's my Hillsong. And so Mom was like coming out of her skin because she had been praying for us to do this. And I felt the Holy Spirit as I was reading this lyric say, like, this is the way. And I've never had that happen before, where it was just like undeniable, like, this is what you're supposed to do. And even as being new people, our very first write, just the joy, it was already so much fun. I didn't ever feel, in Christian music, I never felt like an outsider or like brand new. I already just felt like, oh, wow, these are all my friends I went to church camp with. These are all my people. And so probably the saddest part was when Rise Up went to radio and we didn't get to go on radio tour, and we kind of watched it flounder for a few months. I think that I was like, okay, God, did I get this wrong? Like, did you really want us to do this? Or, okay, well, maybe I should just be like, do something else in ministry. Like, I just don't know what we're doing. So beyond that, before we were even had any level of success, we were already just having a ton of fun doing Christian music.
Now, the reason why it floundered, I guess, in the beginning was because of the pandemic.
I mean, I don't know. I think that God really used us to get us to trust Him, because we could not promote the song. That's what was just crazy to me, is that we were on the Zach Williams tour, and it was us and We the Kingdom, and we did 5 days. And then we had planned to visit every station, and we were going to 60 cities and all of this stuff, and we did nothing. And it really is just so makes me cry. I can't believe that the song still went out and people heard it, and God did what He did with Rise Up when we truly just watched a lot of Netflix. And it helps me to trust Him more.
It was that I've never heard the juxtaposition of such emotion and the phrase, we just watched a lot of Netflix. So shout out to us for keeping it real. Madison just like broken emotionally, like we watched so much Netflix. They're like, what did you watch?
So like me and my husband had to quarantine over the summer, and I'm already just so sad that we're not touring. And I was like, I can't watch any more TV. And he's like, okay, come outside with me. And we played tag, just the two of us chase each other in the yard.
That's an exclusive, guys. I've not heard that story.
So we were playing tag.
Just the two of us.
We tried to,
and our imaginary friends.
We tried to put leapfrog, but I kept just not making it all the way and knocking him in the head.
Unless I needed more excuses to hate myself, I can't play leapfrog.
So I'm back here playing tag, and I'm like, my career's over.
But seriously, like it was the perfect way for this to start. Like, hindsight is always 20/20, and we can retroactively assign so much purpose. But the truth is that had we gone on that entire tour, done that radio tour, who's to say that it would have done better at all? And so for us to play no part in the success of this song, and for us to really step out of the way, and this song to mean something. I got a message today of a woman that said, I died 5 years ago and they revived me. And when I heard your song, it changed my, you know what I mean? Like, that has nothing to do with me. She didn't say how cool it sounded or this song.
She was like, that's
without your name attached, without your picture on it. This song mattered to me. And it was just like, perfect. From now on, that will be the goal.
Was there, like, when you think back in terms of like your older catalog, like in terms of cover songs, was there a song that for you just felt like magic, like beyond you nailed it every time, but there was something, it was almost like a spiritual experience playing this song every night, or maybe not, but do you know what I'm saying?
Distinct memory. Yes, we were in a dive bar in Illinois.
A dive bar.
Everything's wet.
Visualize that.
The floor's wet. The walls are wet. It's just disgusting.
Nasty.
And we sing "Free" by the Zach Brown Band. I don't know if you're familiar with that song.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking about we live out in our old van, and it's like, but then you get to the chorus, man, justice free, and I'm watching people put their hands in the air.
Yeah.
It felt like worship. And it was just like,
we had a woman, seriously, we played that song. We were on a cruise ship out in the middle of the Gulf. And a woman came up to us after that song specifically and said, "Are you guys a worship band?" And I just was like, "Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
we are."
Right now we're worshiping ourselves, but we really are at heart a worship band. We are lost at sea, metaphorically and literally, but
it's crazy. That's such a good question, because you're like singing these songs and you're just like, I've got to connect with God. And I do feel like when we were using our voices, we did feel like the most connected to Him. That's so cool.
So were you guys doing the country thing on the cruise ship? Is that what you were doing?
Oh,
yep, country cruising, in fact.
Wow. That's what it was called.
Yeah, I've been on a few cruises and I really do love them, but the perception for a lot of the passengers that go on these cruise lines is that you're living the life as a performer on the cruise ship, but your living quarters aren't that great, from what I understand.
No, they're not.
We all suffer from a fair amount of seasickness as well, and so that
can't help.
One night we were just below the Lido deck, I guess, if you will. No, we were down in it, guys. We were wherever was the bottom of the Titanic. That's where we were staying. Yeah, and we were having a meeting. And then we hit a rather large swell in the middle of the meeting, and all of us had to lay down and just like wait for the storm to pass.
Choices. I took Dramamine, but I guess I got the extra strength, and so there's 2 full days from that cruise that I don't have recollection of. I invited my husband to be like, "Hey, honey, I want to treat you right." On. Yeah, we got some free stuff, and then I was asleep for like 40 hours.
That's the only way to get rid of it. I was on my first cruise, and it was a 2-week cruise.
That's too long.
And no, 2 weeks it's amazing. It's a nice getaway, especially the sea days. I love the sea days. So second day on the cruise. So the first day we leave. The next morning, of course, you want to, newcomer on the cruise ship and everything else. You want to do everything and anything. And one of the things I noticed, they had this little area where you could buy cakes and the sweet shop, as it were, and they made milkshakes from scratch. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to get myself a large milkshake.
No, thank you. Nope.
Me and my son got one, and I was able to hold mine down, but man, I was really queasy for hours. I had to lie down in my room for a few hours just to get that queasiness away. And I haven't suffered it from it since, but I haven't ordered a milkshake on a cruise since either. So
that's right. Yeah.
That's quite a caveat.
Yeah. Didn't want to get too
milkshake on a cruise.
Right. I didn't want to get too visual there, but you can imagine what happened.
Well, I was going to say, fun fact, it would probably be the same sound on the way out as it was when they made it. You know what I mean?
That's true. You're right. Either way.
Quite a churning there.
Yes, thank you. This is a family show, folks. So the opinions expressed are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those.
That's right. That's right.
Got that memorized too.
Oh my gosh.
So you guys did the cruise. How long were you on a cruise? Like, how long were you guys doing the cruise gig? Because that you basically hop from ship to ship, right? You're not on the same ship. You're not on the entire cruise. You do your gig. You might be there for a couple of nights, and then the next time the cruise ship lands somewhere, you get off and you jump onto another ship, right?
That would be the goal. But in this case, we were on it.
That's some more of God's goodness, where it's like we just little doses of what we would hate the most. So
we would do the full cruise. And you know what's interesting about that is once you're on a cruise and then you perform the first time, then you become the person that people talk to. So it gives you a little bit of a vibe of like, oh wow, I am pretty special. I am cool here. But Taylor and I, we took it on ourselves. We were convinced that the people working the cruise were being held there against their will. So we started going to each person and being like, listen, do you need help? Can you get out? And they would always say, I made my own choice, which is not settling.
That's not no.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
We won't disparage the cruise line, but we had a lot of
I won't
blink if you need help situation.
So
Wow.
I'm convinced that if I ever get to like the fortune of playing a cruise again, I'm going to bring a burner phone. I think I need to like have someone.
We're gonna have like a CIA
contact.
exfil ready.
And like, yeah, everyone else, they're going to be doing excursions. I'm going to be doing, underground.
That's right. I'm gonna lead my own excursion when the boat
That's
lands.
crazy.
Yeah, I'll be like,
want-
listen, I've got somebody with a new ID and they're ready to take you home.
Wow.
I want to do a study on like Stockholm syndrome on cruise ships to see like, you know what I mean? I can't leave. No, I must
can't
stay.
Who's going to serve the lunch?
I made my choice.
I made my choice. It's just
That's
incredible.
crazy.
It's so crazy. So next time you do it, when you're making, like when you get your milkshake and you're ready to just throw it right back up, you just look them dead in the eye and be like, listen,
I made my choice.
I made my choice.
When they said that to me, I was like, you know what? Same. I we are here by the same reasoning. I made my choice.
Was it a good gig? Like, did it pay good money? I mean, we're a little off track here, but did it pay good money? Because you're making money. You got free accommodations and free food. I mean, just a little bit of food on those ships, right?
We loved the cruise gig, which I feel like maybe we're misrepresenting. So we got to do it twice. We didn't do like quite a long stint. It wasn't
like I was
a
the
specialty
one
cruise.
with the like air silks where I'm like spinning around in the air. I wasn't like doing juggling.
So
or
we
whatever.
did like
Right.
this represented, again, this is what would happen is we'd go a couple of years in country music, really feel like, man, this cannot be it. This is just not great. And then we'd have this sort of this one opportunity that would keep us coming. So
we'd do CMA Fest, and then we would do Bud's Best Time in Illinois.
We got brought to be the celebrity judges for a talent competition in Reno. They paid us great money to come judge this thing and then play an hour afterward. Things like that would happen. It would be like, oh, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Here's a turning point. But to get back to Madison's original point, even when we first started doing Christian music and no one knew us and frankly no one cared, it still was so much more fulfilling because everything we're singing was vertical. Everybody was there for the same reason. And
even the basics. There was like, I've never been to a smoky church service, but that it just says wonders for the voice, the less cigarette smoke.
Yeah, I would say the air quality of Christian music is much better.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Supreme air quality.
I mean,
but like, we would go play this cruise with thousands of people on it and packed out, rooms and shows because no one had anything else to do. But that turned into nothing. That never resulted in growth or a better. But even playing a Christian music show for 50 people, those 50 people shared some experience with us, and it was growing. Yeah, so it's just been so like wonderful, the entire experience.
I've been giving my phone number out like crazy, so I'm excited to see what that turns into.
I gotta say though, in fairness, and not to dwell too much on this cruise thing, but I don't know that performing, and I'm going to get in trouble for this. I'm going to get some negative comments, but I don't know that performing on a cruise ship is necessarily good for anybody's career. And I say that because I say that in fairness, okay, that I'll qualify that by, I don't go on a cruise every year. Maybe every 2-3 years I'll go on a cruise, but it's the same performers all the time. Right, so 3 years later, they're still on the cruise line, and it's not like it's so it's not, their career hasn't taken off. You know what I'm saying?
So for me,
upward mobility,
right?
And fair enough. I think like for me, my 2020 was going to consist of a lot of cruise stuff. So I had booked a few Caribbean and a few European, like Mediterranean cruises already ready to go. Wow. And so the cool thing is that. It's not so much a career like I'm going to get really famous on a cruise, but it's a great way to kind of build up some income for your next project.
Sure.
And you can build some great connections. Like I remember my very first cruise, I was sitting, my table across from me were the heads of Sparrow and back then Forefront, who were these two big, record companies. And so when I was like in grade, I don't know, I was a kid, so I was in grade 6. Like they sent me I got their contact info, and they sent me like all this free like CDs and tapes and stuff. Before it was released, I used to get it, and they became my contacts as I sort of grew up. And so you're right. Like if you want to be, famous, maybe not a cruise ship, but for resources, for contacts, and for cash, and for rehearsal, like you're playing like 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah.
By the time you're out,
Basically,
you're
what we're saying
ready.
is book us for a cruise.
There we go.
This has all been quite the long play to end up as cruise performers.
So basically,
That's right,
at the end of this, do you have a contact to get me on a cruise? Because even if I don't do something as Cain, I might
it
do
sounds like
something
he was
else
going on a
interesting.
lot of cruises.
That's right.
I don't know. I was hoping
yeah.
you guys had a contact, so I don't have to pay as much. I mean, I'll be the MC or something. I don't want to be the cruise director, but I'll be the MC. I'll introduce you guys to the stage or something like that, and give me free accommodations and free food. I'll do that.
That's amazing. And then will you be part of my sting operation to help the people?
Definitely.
Sure.
I'll be like Jack Bauer. Jack Bauer rescuing people all the time. That'd be me. Yeah. That'll be me.
And just hanging out when you're not on stage, because there's lots of, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of free time on the cruise. If you're performing, you might be performing at night, and then maybe have a rehearsal. You've got the session booked in the morning where you got to spend an hour rehearsing. But I mean, really, is there a whole lot of work there?
Yeah, we did like 3 double sets in 5 days. So there was a good bit of downtime, but again, like you said, we went into that feeling like, we were opening for these names may not mean anything, but like Diamond Rio and Kelsey Ballerini, and there were for us being a new at the time what we thought would be country act. We're like, okay, here we go. This is the first, our name, albeit small, is on the same flyer as so-and-so. But all of it was just like a present reminder. And I can look at it now in comparison and say, like, my best efforts in something else. I used to say it like this. I used to say that you can, with enough effort, hammer a screw into place. But that's not what it's made for.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for the long time, we were using the gifts that God had given us and singing Free by Zach Brown. And it was feeling like a worship. And our hearts were longing to lead worship and to sing about Jesus. And then when we finally did just make that simple switch and just like lay it down and be obedient to local church and to just writing the songs our hearts wanted to sing, the difference. I mean, look at playing 3 sets on a cruise nobody's heard of versus being, our second song is about to go to radio. Like it couldn't be more night and day.
Yeah.
So as a band, completely different, off topic from cruise ships and everything else. Who's the boss out of you 3? I mean, you got a manager and everything else, but who's the boss? Who makes the call? Who's the decision maker? Ultimately that decides stuff.
It's so crazy because when you do this, there's so many different areas. So I would say, like, for video and creative content, I usually get the final say.
That's Madison, yeah.
And then I would say, Logan, I get who gets the final shot in each area, because it's never just one person because everything's so varied.
Yeah. I would say like songwriting and music stuff. I think that Madison and Logan, in a really respectful way, like they defer to me just to kind of give like the stamp of like, okay, this is good. This is what we're doing as a band. But then with Logan is like our show advancer and like kind of road manager. So I feel like Madison and I don't even keep up with those details. It's like all on Logan to figure out like what we're doing the day of the show.
Networking and details. And, it's like I answer every comment that we get.
Yeah.
Across all social media platforms. I want everybody to feel like they have direct access to us and they have our attention because they certainly do. But then, like you said, I think we just finished the SECAM music video. They're asking us for comments. Taylor and I are asking Madison for comments.
Yeah, exactly.
Not because we don't care, but I give my input. And then ultimately, that's the thing, is that this business, the 3 of us, would not function well if there wasn't a little bit of crossover, if we didn't all have a little bit of say. But ultimately, each department has to have a head, or else we would all just spend all day on comments on the music video. And so we've struck a good balance. But I
have high respect for the solo acts.
Oh my gosh.
Because I don't think that I could do this if there weren't 3 of us. It honestly is like the 3 of us make up this We do. The three of us make up the boss of the band. Like, we're the perfect human. If it was all three of us as one.
And how often do you guys just get together in the kitchen and start singing? I mean, I've seen, you've posted on Instagram anyways. I saw a recent a post there where you guys just decided to start singing something. Is that the norm? Like, you just guys get together and say, hey, let's sing a song. Oh, let's record it at the same time.
Oh my gosh. It is just not the norm.
You know what's funny?
Agree?
I think that we don't do that as often, but I have gotten feedback from different people that all three of us will, without noticing, be singing something under our breath all the time. That's probably pretty annoying. I have this like incessant, I'm a drummer. I have been my whole life. And I do drum beats with my teeth, with my mouth closed.
Oh, yeah.
And it drives them crazy and I don't realize I'm doing it. So I think we all have our little kind of.
You know that video that you saw? We were actually, it's kind of funny. We should make a post about our green rooms across America, because that was our green room, was a kitchen.
Oh, wow.
So it looked like we were at our house, but we were getting ready to go on stage. And so we were like, all right, right by the sink.
It was a really nice looking kitchen, I got to say.
Yeah. Not ours.
Yeah. Okay. That explains a lot right there, for sure.
If you ever see us in the bathroom, just know it's probably a green room. It's not our own.
So good.
So you guys are all the boss, but who has the final say on something?
The final say.
Yeah,
Gosh.
like if you guys are all disagreeing on something and, is it the person that's kind of in charge of that department?
It's probably, I would say I'm the oldest. This is Taylor. So I would say that I am going to step into like the bossy natural role.
The bossy sister,
but I think, yes. But I do think that Madison being the middle is kind of the glue. And so Logan and I can both have just like strong opinions. And then Madison will say, okay, I hear what you're saying. Kind of let's do this.
It is the great benefit of there being three of us, because Taylor and I usually represent the opposite sides of the coin.
In a loving way.
And we've just had to learn to swallow our pride and say, okay, we disagree, Madison. And if she has a vote, she votes and we go. And if she doesn't, but we just grew up so like deferential. And I think that we always were trying to be courteous. And so there are a few hills that we will die on, if you will. I think that rarely do I just want my way so badly that I'll get it. And the truth is that comes at a cost. Like, you only get so many of those. Yeah. Even as the quote bossy sister, if every day Taylor was like, no, it's got to be this, that would wear thin so quickly.
Yeah,
so
you guys would end up being 3 solo careers after that.
That's right, and going nowhere
okay,
fast.
So I'm curious. You guys have talked to us for a little bit today. What do you feel like you have kind of a good read on the band and the roles? Like, who would you say does what?
Well, I don't know that I could say who does what, but I will say that what you're describing is like, I've got 2 brothers and a sister, so I'm just kind of relating it to that kind of relationship where we all have our strengths and our weaknesses and whatnot. My one brother is a pastor at a church, my other brother's a teacher, and my sister is a stay-at-home mom. So I kind of get that vibe from you guys.
Yeah.
I'm the radio guy. So, I was watching my brother preach online yesterday, and, he's got this thing happening in his church where if you have a question during the message, you can text him his personal cell phone number and ask a question or make a comment or whatnot. And at some point halfway through the message, he, picked up his phone and says, "Oh, I see. I forgot to mention that if you have any questions or comments, you can text me. But I don't have any texts right now. So of course I'm the brother, so I've got to send him a text just to make him feel good, right? So, send him a text saying, just felt bad that you didn't have a text. And as it turns out, when he did read it, he had 3 other texts after that. So, you kind of bounce off each other, off of each other's strengths. And whatnot. The description that you had of Logan making doing the drums with his teeth, like at family reunions, for me, both my brothers play play guitar, but one of my pastor brother plays guitar a lot. He plays in the worship team. He's got a really expensive guitar he picked up way back when, and so during a family reunion, he's just picking away at his guitar the whole time. He's not really playing anything, but he's picking away at this thing and just noodling. Sometimes, yeah, exactly, and it sometimes gets a little annoying because it's like, well, play a song already instead of just picking away, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand exactly what you're talking about. Like everything you've talked about is I've seen that. I see that.
You've been there. You've lived it.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm a birth order guy, so I'm curious. So Madison is the oldest, and then Taylor is the middle child.
I'm Taylor, and I'm the oldest. I've got Madison beat by a year, and then Madison's next, and then Logan is a year younger than her. So we're really close
right
in age. But yeah, birth order.
Really close.
Do you get the wild vibe from Madison? She's.
Yeah, well, I was curious.
What is the middle?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, what's it supposed to be? Because I don't know if Madison fits the bill of a middle child.
Oh wow!
I think. So the firstborn would be a little bit more headstrong and more the leader type. I'm using air quotes, if you will. The middle child will be the one who wants to make sure that everybody's doing well and that things are sort of hitting the mark. The youngest would be kind of like who's keeping things cool, edgy, fun. So that would be, these are really bad descriptions of birth order in a business, but I think so would that sort of play? So Taylor is kind of heavy admin, let's go. Is that kind of ish to you guys? Does that feel real?
I feel like I'm kind of hey, we got to do this, we got to do this. I'm kind of just emotionless, get it going. Kind of have a mean look on my face sometimes, but I love my siblings.
What if I described myself in a way that was just I'm just always on time and just
Madison's lying to you guys. You really can't say whatever you want.
They'd be yes, basically I'm so business.
Perfect.
Oh my
Yeah.
It's so because even Taylor saying we gotta get I do think that Taylor is a very good leader as far as let's do this, but she also, for instance, she'll be oh, I got someone some flowers because someone in their family died, and send it from the band, and she's always thinking of doing kind gestures of stuff that I would not think to do.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
So that I don't know where that falls into birth order, but good job.
do you guys follow the Enneagram at all?
Yes. Okay. Do you know him? Do you know?
So is Taylor a 2-wing 3?
Yeah.
Wow.
Congrats.
Claps.
Yeah.
Good job.
That's
Yeah.
And then Loki
Madison
Bear
is a 7.
7, wing 6.
Yep.
Got that
if we weren't
anxiety in
holding
there.
her down, she would just
That's right.
I did not sleep well because I stayed up too late researching a trip to Cabo, and then I was 30 minutes late getting here.
Uh-oh.
And every now it's that's a part of my personality that I have to keep on tight wraps.
Sure. Yeah. I got you.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. That happened today. I came in with I walked in this morning. I was like, guys, I apologize. That was disrespectful of your time, and it won't happen again.
She actually said that to just Taylor. She came in to me and was like, why can't we practice?
But
so here comes another public apology.
but the funny thing is, you said it won't happen again. It might, though, right?
It won't.
That's true, right?
Because I got real. It's it's one of those things where it's I didn't plan, but I did get really upset with myself.
Perfect. It's going to happen again. I'll let y'all know when.
It's
absolutely going to happen again. It's gonna. It's gonna. It's predictable.
I need a different personality.
Predictable.
I think that was the saddest thing about the Enneagram is I thought in some ways I was special, but I really am one of 9.
Right.
There's
only 9 of us.
Yeah, there's just 9 of us on this world, just kind of walking around. I'm wearing the stupid rainbow shirt, thinking I'm something special. But I'm just late.
So good. So good.
Logan is, as we know, a 3-wing 2.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
And so I think that you kind of get
so Logan and I are the exact opposite, kind of. Well, our numbers. Does that mean anything?
So I think what's interesting is I can't tell if – so I'm a 7, and my husband is I think a 3-wing 2 or a 2-wing 3. We cannot tell because he's always like doing stuff to help me. But he's also achieving.
Whatever number he is, he's healthy. That's the good thing about Jared.
That's it. It's so good. I love this stuff.
So let's look to the future now.
Okay, here we go.
What are you guys doing? Obviously, the last year was a write-off. We all know that. As far as concerts and gigs and festivals and stuff, are things looking a little bit more optimistic over the next few months for you guys?
It absolutely is. What's crazy is we say this with the utmost like care and concern for people that did not have a great year. On paper, last year was the best year of our lives. I mean, it was like we you know what I'm saying? Like our Rise Up was at number 1 for 7 weeks. I had 0 expectations. Wow. That is insane. We got put on a tour miraculously. I didn't get to tell this part of the story. We signed with Provident. We did not have music finished. And again, just by God's goodness, Zach and his team heard demos of our songs that were going to be coming out and picked us to open. So then in response, we had to have a project. That's why we have a 6-song EP as our first thing. We're finishing that record this year. If that didn't happen, who releases a new artist during a global pandemic? Nobody. So you see what I'm saying? That there's a chance we're not sitting here now had it not gone the way it went. So anyway, as it stands, we have 120 shows this year if everything plays out.
That's good.
Which is just crazy.
Our booking agent is awesome. He was like, yeah, you guys have the most dates on your calendar out of any of our lineup, and they have everyone. Roster, So I'm like, I can't tell.
So it's going to be a really fun, really busy year. What I have enjoyed so much so far, we've gotten to do a lot already. This feels like it's going to be the most expectant year of God's people in my short life. I really feel that way. It's like we're at capacity, and they always reach out and say like, well, the venue holds 3,000, but there'll only be 400 people there. I'm like, 400 people? Are you kidding me? Like it's been me, myself, and I. Like that's incredible. And the people that show up are just so excited to be there. They're so excited to like connect and worship. So that's been awesome. We leave tomorrow night to go on a drive-in theater tour with Zach Williams and Mac Powell. We'll be doing that through the end of June.
So pumped.
We'll do music festivals this summer, and then we'll go back out for that tour that we were supposed to be on last year with Zach Williams and We the Kingdom this fall. So, I mean, things are lining up to be really, really wonderful. Yes, He Can is officially out for ad right now. I think the actual ad date is April 19th. And then we'll release 5 new songs May 7th. All of that to say, guys, we are along for the ride. We are in the flow of what God's doing. And we couldn't have planned a better, like when the Bible says that a man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Like I now have an absolute perfect example of what my wildest dreams could have been. And God so exceeded it in my absence.
And a lot of people had a terrible year. So I am hoping that God can use us this was like a really blessed time for Cain. And so hopefully when we're down, we'll have someone that lifts us up, and we can do that for people that are coming to events,
That is awesome. That is awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in concert too, because as I said before, I just love the, sibling bands. They just sound so much better than a lot of the other bands out there.
Take that, not family.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
It's not to say, other bands sound good and stuff, but I'm just talking when you talk harmonies and the blending of voices, that's the part that I'm talking about in bands and stuff. It doesn't matter the style. Like I'm not a big country fan, and the first radio station I ever worked at was at a country radio station. So, you do what you have to do, right? And you guys have a little bit of the country flavor in your music, but it's not, right? You know what I'm saying?
Does it lean more Southern rock, like Leonard Skinner versus true country?
I would say it's leaning,
right.
And the fact that you're touring with Zach is like a perfect, perfect way to go in as well, because it's very. similar but not similar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are nailing it.
Thank you guys for seeing us and understanding us.
Yeah.
And, I think that along with those 7 years of searching, that was almost always the consistent feedback is we just don't know what to do with you. And so it really does feel so incredible to talk to you guys and you get us, you understand us. And so thanks for caring, guys. I feel like I'm saying that a lot these days. Thanks for giving a crap, if I can say that on a family radio station. That's kind of where I'm at. It's like, you just don't have to. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate so much when people take time and care because you just don't have to. So what's next for you guys? What's coming?
Well, we're hoping to grow the podcast. This is we're approaching 200 episodes now, and we've been doing this for a weekly podcast. So we can honestly say, Drew, and I've been thinking about this over the last little while. At the point we hit 200 or just over 200, we can actually say that we've had hundreds of guests on our show.
Wow.
Literally, because we really don't repeat a lot of guests. We've done it once or twice. Maybe I could count on one hand how many people we've actually repeated.
Yeah, that's right.
And sometimes way back when when we had the opportunity to chat with somebody, we would actually record 2 episodes, but we only released one. Nice. We've got stuff sitting on the shelf that we never released. It's just been a blast. But yeah, I'd like to see it grow. One of the things that I love doing, and Drew, I know you do as well, is when you get to these festivals where you've got a whole bunch of bands playing. I mean, that's the time for us to mingle a little bit with them, but also to do these, we call them roadshow episodes, where we actually are on the road, we bring our gear and stuff, and we actually chat with all the background noise and everything else. I mean, those are so much fun to do as well. So I'm looking forward to that this summer, and as things open up, and then for you, Drew, specifically, I mean, you're an artist, you're a musician, you're a performer. Obviously, you're looking forward to more stuff happening as far as your gigs are concerned.
I'm just hoping that I can play some shows sometime soon. We're up here in Canada. We're still in lockdown mode, so we're not doing anything major. So that kind of sucks in terms of getting out, but I understand how it goes. I think for me, same. I want this podcast to kind of grow and blossom, if you will. But I'm hoping that that things can get back to the place where even where you guys are at right now. Like, I was talking to a couple friends who have been watching shows in Nashville like every weekend, and it's packed and it's wonderful and it's great. And I sit there and I'm like, I am so jealous.
Yeah,
that's what I want. I want to get back on stage, or even I want to be in front of a stage and just watch a great live show.
Yeah,
that's what I'm really hoping for in this next.
Well, I'm just so encouraged, honestly, by people like. When this all started, I thought there's no way that they're going to get people to follow the rule. Like, we'll never play another show because can you?
Exactly.
It's like herding cats. But the truth is, people are now so ready to be together that they're like, you know what? I'll wear what you want me to wear. I'll stand where you want me to stand.
Yeah,
I just want to be back. And that whatever it takes attitude. We're doing this drive-in theater tour, and people are so tickled to come sit next to their car, a certain distance from the stage and be there, and I think it's just going to take that. Yeah, agree.
In the world,
so, well, thank you guys. I mean, I feel like the truth is, like, the way I define success is longevity. Like, I think the most successful thing ever was the ministry of Jesus Christ, and it's because it still hasn't ended.
Right.
And so to whatever size or whatever value, yada, yada, yada. But you guys have been doing this hundreds of episodes, hundreds of guests. You are a tremendous success to us. Thank you for letting us be a part of this. I don't know if that's a goal, is to try to be a repeat guest, but now that I've heard there's few, the Enneagram 3 in me really wants to come back.
Well, what do you think, Drew? Should we? Maybe.
We'll see.
We'll see. Keep them in suspense.
We could start a spin-off cruise podcast.
That's right.
I like that idea. I like that.
Various cruises.
Hey, can I tell you guys like a random piece of info, non-related, but my husband, we just got traded, and he plays for the Toronto Blue Jays. So,
wow.
Really?
Once we can get into the country, maybe I'll see you up there.
Awesome. Bring the whole family. You guys should plan a concert around it and stuff,
Let's do it.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, we gotta learn how to say some cool words like you guys. We're too south.
Cool words like us. I don't know. Do we have any cool words?
Like bean and And oh, like I just love
Loonies and Toonies, baby.
Yeah. Well, it's money, right?
It's money.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, let's keep in touch, and anything that you guys need, reach out. If you ever need us to double up, we'd be honored.
Do what you're called to do. I think Cain figured that out now. The fact that they started in country music, doing the covers, doing the whole cruise thing, and then figuring out that, maybe this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. And once they figured it out, they are just going gangbusters now.
They are. It's so good to be able to embrace change and do it well and do it smart. Do it, prayerfully, do it with wisdom. I think I really appreciated the fact that, they always knew that they needed to step forward and they had a goal in mind, but they weren't too stubborn to say, wait, let's shift, let's change, let's pivot. There's the word again.
Yeah.
Let's do, because we know that music is the thing, just a matter of refining that focus. And that's really, really key because it's so easy to give up. It really is, especially when it feels like nothing is working. And so it's really cool. They listened to their manager, and the manager was kind of like, maybe you should be doing CCM. Yeah. And they're like, you know what? Let's actually take some space and figure that out. And they took it, and that's where they're at now. And the fact that they're just been so cool and so funny and it's a great trio to talk with. For me, this is actually probably one of my favorite conversations we've had so far this year.
Make sure you check out caintheband.com to find the links to their music, events, and social media as well.
And there we go. For today's Ours Advice, we have Jillian Edwards, and what she has to say is so great, and it connects so well to our whole entire episode today.
I say you do you, which is do what you are called to do and focus on what your own gifts are and your own weaknesses are, and let God guide you into your own thing instead of sort of looking around and trying to replicate what somebody else is doing.
Cain did it well. Many artists do it well. And maybe, who knows, maybe Bieber will do it with this new thing. Full circle. See what I did there? Bring it all
good
back.
Good segue there. Good. Well, and that brings us to the point that once again, we invite Justin Bieber to be a part of our... Sorry. We could do this every week, We could invite Justin Bieber every single week. And by doing that, maybe one of these days he'll hear us and say, you know what? These guys keep bugging me. I'll have to come onto the show.
That will never happen. But yes, that'll be nice. Let's dream.
We can dream
together, bro.
You got to be optimistic.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I mean, that's a big change from when we started this thing and said Bieber will never come on the show, right? This is full circle for me, so this is a big day.
That's true. That's true.
That is it for this week, folks. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast for new episodes every Monday. Don't forget to leave us a rating and a review. That just helps us reach more people all the time.
That's right. You can find us also on Facebook and Twitter at Between Grooves. Check us out there. Follow and like all that kind of social media stuff. And connect with us, talk to us, have a little conversation. And if we don't see you there, we'll definitely see you next time right here on the show, Between the Grooves. Have a great day.